Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a journey into a really comforting and honestly surprisingly relevant world. We're guided by this book called Don't Be Sad. It's a title that, immediately grabs you, right? Especially when you think about sadness, anxiety, that constant search we all have for some kind of lasting peace.
It really is.
And what I find fascinating is how sometimes the really deep insights, they come from places you don't expect, and they blend different traditions, different kinds of wisdom beautifully.
That's absolutely true. Our source today is excerpts from Aaidh ibn Abdullah al-Qarni's book, Don't Be Sad. It's quite a remarkable text. It really aims to give you practical advice, tools almost, for pushing back against despair.
Practical advice, okay.
And what makes it unique, like you said, is this blend. It takes Islamic teachings, from the Qur'an, the Sunnah, the Prophet's companions, and weaves them together with insights from Western thinkers, Eastern philosophers.
Interesting.
Yeah, and it shows how they often point towards the same truths. So our mission, really, for this deep dive is to pull out the key nuggets from all of this.
Yeah.
Ideas to help you navigate life's trials, find a more, maybe, pragmatic and satisfying outlook.
Pragmatic, I like that.
It all boils down to that core message. Be happy, at peace, and joyful, and don't be sad.
Okay, so if that's the mission, let's unpack the philosophy behind it. Don't be sad. It's a direct challenge. What's the book's starting point on sadness? Does it push back on, how we usually think about just feeling our feelings?
It does take a distinctive approach, yeah. The book basically posits that sadness isn't really encouraged. It even suggests it can weaken you, body and soul.
Weaken you.
Yeah, physically too, maybe even leading to things like ulcers, it mentions. But, and this is important, it's not saying ignore difficulties. The book is very clear. Trials, hardships, they're just part of being human. But it draws a line between experiencing a trial and sort of dwelling in sadness because of it. The focus shifts really quickly from the feeling itself to how you respond to what life throws at you.
That distinction feels key. Not avoiding challenges, but framing how we relate to them. You mentioned this idea of preordainment. Sounds like that's pretty central to this framework. Can you tell us more about that?
Absolutely. It comes up again and again, this concept of preordainment. Basically, that certain things are already decreed. It quotes, "No calamity befalls on the earth or in yourselves, but is inscribed in the book of decrees."
Written in a book.
Yeah, the idea is everything will occur according to preordainment. And the conclusion drawn from that is pretty profound. Whatever is written for you will unerringly come to you. And that a higher power is like the best disposer of affairs.
Okay.
So the antidote to despair then isn't fighting it, it's acceptance, deep acceptance. Accept life as it is, the book says.
So if it's in a way already written,
Yeah.
then fighting against it is just wasted energy. It sounds like a way to let go of a lot of struggle.
Exactly. It's about releasing that resistance.
Which kind of leads nicely into another big idea in the book. Contentment.
Yes, contentment. It's presented as a direct counter to sadness. The book puts it beautifully. Be content with that which Allah has given you, and you will be the richest of people.
Richest, not in money, but...
Exactly. It's an inner wealth. This contentment is linked to feeling safe, secure inside. And the fruits of contentment, as it calls them, they naturally lead to thankfulness, to gratitude. It's about finding richness in accepting what is, not just in what you have.
And getting that contentment, I'm guessing a big piece of that puzzle is how we handle time. The past, the present, the future. Does the book focus there?
Oh, very much so. There's a really strong, almost urgent push towards the present moment. It gives really clear advice. Let go of the past. The past is gone forever, it says. Yesterday will never return.
Forever.
The focus is completely on right now.
Today's
all that you have, and about the future. The advice is simple. Leave the future alone until it comes.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah. It's this kind of radical call to just anchor yourself right here, right now. Because, regrets about the past, anxieties about the future, they steal your peace today.
What strikes me about all this, the divine will acceptance, focusing on now, is how it creates this surprisingly practical framework. Not just for big life stuff, but for you dealing with the daily flood of information, right? It's like a mental decluttering. It lets you breathe.
That's a great way to put it. Mental decluttering. It shifts the burden. You stop trying to control everything except what's beyond your control, and then you put your energy into what you can actually do right now, all while trusting there's a bigger picture.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, moving from that big philosophy to the day-to-day. What actual steps, like concrete things, does Don't Be Sad suggest for cultivating happiness? Because, understanding the philosophy is one thing.
Living it is another. Right.
Exactly.
Well, the book is packed with practical advice, truly. Let's maybe start with actions for the heart and soul. It suggests these are fundamental heart and soul. Things like doing good for others. It says doing good to others gives comfort to the heart. And charity. Charity brings peace to the giver. Simple, powerful actions.
Makes sense. Giving connects you.
And then there's remembrance and prayer. Huge emphasis here. Verily, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest. Prayer is described as a remedy, almost, for psychological sicknesses. A way to find peace by turning inwards or upwards to your Lord. The general advice is just always remember Allah. It's about actively engaging.
So it's active, pouring into others, connecting spiritually. What about when? Well, when we mess up, or when others do.
That leads straight to forgiveness. The power of forgiveness. The book notes, asking Allah for forgiveness opens locked doors. That's for yourself.
Opens locked doors.
And for dealing with others. It advises that forgiving them actually brings you honor. It says, forgiveness is honor for you, which shall be rewarded. So it's not just about letting them off the hook. It elevates.
That's a really different way to frame forgiveness. Okay, so beyond these specific actions, what about mindset shifts? For personal growth, I'm guessing optimism is in there somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. A big one. The book really pushes for an optimism versus skepticism mindset. It talks about the importance of a positive attitude. And it has this great little phrase, really memorable. You can convert a lemon into a sweet drink.
Huh. Turn lemons into lemonade, basically.
Pretty much. It's about actively transforming negativity. And something even simpler, a daily habit. Smile every morning. To start with a smile. It also points out that laughing is an efficacious way to achieve comfort and lightheartedness. Find the humor, the lightness.
I like that. Convert the lemon. Though I gotta say, sometimes that first thing in the morning smile feels challenging. What about beyond just mindset, intellectual stuff, personal well-being?
Good question. Knowledge and reading get a big thumbs up. They're called a blessing. A book is your best companion. Reading in order to learn wisdom is presented as a path to serenity and ease.
Reading for serenity.
Hey. Then there's self-care, balance. Advice like take care of your outside as well as of your inside. The importance of recreation and relaxation. It encourages treading the middle path, avoiding extremes, finding equilibrium in life.
The middle path.
Balance. And finally, a really important one, embracing your uniqueness. It reminds you, you are created unique. Don't try to be a mimicker, it says. Don't mimic the personality of others. Be authentically yourself.
Wow, okay. So good deeds, prayer, forgiveness, optimism, smiling, learning, balance, being yourself. These practices really give you concrete ways to, engage with life's ups and downs, build resilience, and actually foster that inner peace. It makes the philosophy actionable.
Precisely. It's not just thinking differently. It's about doing things differently, making daily choices that cultivate that inner state.
But even with all these tools, life happens. Curveballs get thrown. How does Don't Be Sad help you deal with the external stuff, like criticism or difficult relationships? Those can really knock you off balance.
Yeah, and the book gets surprisingly specific about those common challenges.
Right.
Take criticism, for example, especially bitter criticism.
Oof.
The advice. First off, don't expect gratitude from anyone. That's a big one. It tells you not to grieve, not when others blame and disparage you. Instead, try to embrace constructive criticism, but understand that the curses of the foolish are of no consequence to you.
So develop a filter, basically.
Exactly. A strong inner filter. Know what to take on board and what to just let bounce off.
Okay, that makes sense. What about the really heavy stuff? Hardship, loss. How does the book tackle deep pain?
For hardship, the core advice is to bear your hardships with serenity. And do not be shaken by hardships. But what's really insightful is how it talks about the blessing of pain.
The blessing of pain. How so?
Well, it suggests that bearing hardship atones for sins. There's a sense of purification. And there's comfort offered, like if you lose a limb, you still have others to compensate for it. It even says hardship can have positive effects. It reframes pain not just as something negative to endure, but potentially something with a purpose, maybe leading to spiritual growth or cleansing.
That's a powerful reframe. Turning pain into a potential blessing. Okay. What about those more internal struggles like envy or just plain boredom? We all feel those sometimes.
Sure. Envy is tackled head on. Jealousy is not something new, it says. It calls it a disease and tells you you are above jealousy. It's an encouragement to rise above it, see its destructive side.
See it as a disease, okay? And boredom.
The antidote is clear. Repel boredom with work, activity, purpose. It advises not to feel overly stressed when work piles up, maybe implying that having work is better than the alternative because idleness is destructive.
So keep busy, stay engaged. That makes sense. And lastly, how does it suggest we deal with other people? Relationships can be amazing, but also tricky.
Very true. The golden rule comes up. Deal with others as you would have them deal with you. Simple, but profound. Good company is vital. The importance of having a good friend.
Choose your friends wisely.
Definitely. And conversely, it warns that mixing with people whose company is heavy and dull ruins a person's peace. So be mindful of who you spend time with. And in interactions, gentleness averts confrontations. Kindness, basically, to keep things smooth and protect your own peace.
This whole framework for navigating difficulties, it really gives you a clearer lens, doesn't it? For managing all those pressures, interpersonal, external. It feels like it turns things that could make you sad into chances to grow instead. It feels practical, but also deeper than just tips and tricks.
It absolutely goes deeper because all these practical points, they're connected to this larger, almost cosmic view of life itself and where we fit into it all.
Okay, so let's zoom out then. What is that bigger picture? What's the ultimate? So what here for you, the listener, who's looking for something more than just feeling a bit better today? What's the book's final word on the meaning of it all?
Well, the book constantly circles back to the reality of this life. It states pretty bluntly that this life does not deserve our grief.
Doesn't deserve our grief.
Yeah. Or it's not worth your grief. Why? Because it's seen as fleeting glory, temporary, often filled with toil. Now, this isn't meant to be depressing. It's meant to be liberating, to free you from pinning all your hopes for ultimate satisfaction on this temporary world.
I see. It kind of shrinks down the problems of this life when you see it that way. It puts them in perspective.
Exactly. And this fleeting nature is always contrasted with the promise of the hereafter. The book talks about your reward is paradise. It declares everlastingness and paradise are there and not here. The idea is that perfect comfort and rest are in paradise. This offers, immense hope, a reason to keep going through the toil.
So happiness isn't just about feeling good now or having the right mindset. It's connected to something bigger, a divine gift maybe.
Precisely. Happiness is described as a divine gift that does not distinguish between the rich and the poor. It's accessible to everyone. And the book talks about the art of happiness, suggesting it's something cultivated through knowledge, through understanding these deeper truths.
The art of happiness.
Which brings us back to that unique blend we talked about at the start, pulling wisdom from Western and Eastern thinkers and philosophers alongside Islamic teachings. It reinforces this idea that wisdom is the goal of every believer. Wherever he finds it, he is most deserving of it. The message is universal, drawing on truth wherever it's found.
That really is the aha moment, isn't it? It gives us a profound reason to actually embrace all the advice you see, the challenges, the joys, through this different lens that offers real tranquility, lasting purpose. It's like finding a map to a truly contented life.
Absolutely. It frames happiness not as something you chase based on what's happening around you, but as an inner state you cultivate based on a deeper understanding and a search for wisdom.
Wow. We've really covered a lot today from Don't Be Sad. We started with reshaping our whole relationship with sadness, acceptance, contentment. Then we got into those practical steps. Good deeds, remembrance, that positive mindset shift, turning lemons into sweet drinks.
Right.
We looked at how to handle life's bumps, criticism, hardship, even boredom, and tricky relationships. And finally, we touched on that deeper meaning, the bigger picture about life's real value and that promise of the hereafter. It's such a multi-layered approach to finding peace, blending that deep spiritual wisdom with really down-to-earth strategies. It truly feels like a guide to living more happily, more joyfully, kind of regardless of what's going on outside.
It really aims to be that.
Yeah.
And reflecting on all this, it does raise an important question for you, the listener, to perhaps sit with.
Yeah.
If your true value, and by extension your true happiness, isn't ultimately tied to your bank account or what you own in this world, but rather to your inner state, your faith, your connection.
Yeah.
What does that actually mean for how you seek contentment and purpose in your everyday life starting right now?